Welcome to the Small Business Blueprint, a podcast for local business owners who are looking to reach sustainable growth. In each episode, you'll hear directly from small business owners and leaders who have navigated the changes and setbacks that outline their unique blueprint to small business success. So join us to learn how you can turn their stories into actionable steps to transform your business into an established brand in your community.
Welcome into the Small Business Blueprint podcast. This is your host, Alex, and I'm here today with Guillermo Sanchez. Guillermo is the owner of Route 6 Coffee and Smoothies, specializing in craft coffee, fresh fruit smoothies, and more in the heart of Morley Field in North Park, in the neighborhood of North Park in San Diego. Guillermo, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and hopefully I can share some of the things I've learned along the way.
Absolutely. And really, let's dive right into it. I would love to learn more about the background of Route 6 and how you guys got started, how you all found, especially the unique location that you all are in, and how you got your start in the coffee industry, first and foremost.
Well, I got my start in the coffee industry just out of passion. I remember, actually, that's where the name comes from, the Route 6 name. It's actually a line of a bus route that runs around North Park. It's the Route 6. It goes all through North Park. And obviously, growing up in North Park in my teenage years, I would use it all the time. And then in my later in life, we were going through some hardships, and I lost my car, so I was taking the bus to work. And on one of those days, I missed the bus. And I just, in the meantime, I was waiting for the next one. I went to grab a cup of coffee, and there's still a local coffee shop right next to the bus stop, and I had a cup, and it was the first time I had experienced something that was fresh roasted, something that was of high quality, like a craft coffee. I fell in love with that, and ever since I just started diving into it, and I wanted to replicate that experience for others, and that's how we got our start here. As far as the location, it's like I said, I live around the neighborhood, so I would always go. To me, one of the ways I clear my mind after the long shift at work or anything, I just would go to the park and take for a nice walk. And I kept seeing the location here in the Balboa Tennis Club for months and even years. And I said, you know what, this is such a prime location. I need to do something. And lo and behold, I managed to contact the director. We managed to work something out, and we moved in, and we've been here for 3 years. Going on.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So a couple of things I wanted to dive in a little bit more there with you. Being in the craft coffee space has really picked up. Over the last 20 years, really. What sets you guys apart in the craft coffee space from, it's a very competitive industry. What sets you all apart from, a local coffee shop, the Starbucks down the street? What sets you guys apart?
Number one would be the location. It's just such a great, when you're in the park, when you're walking around, it just puts you in a great mood. No matter what the weather might be like, even if it's raining, it feels amazing. If it's sunny, you're surrounded by trees. It's just such a great atmosphere here. And it's so friendly for if you have your dog, if you're walking by, if you're taking out the kids for a walk. And I also, I went through all my phases of the coffee connoisseur, and now I believe that what sets us apart is that we let you enjoy your coffee however you like it. It's a subjective beverage, and I don't think, we don't want to be a coffee shop that tells you only drink it this way, only drink it, only brew it this way, or, just drink it however you like it. The best cup of coffee is the one, to drink it how you like it. So I feel like that's something that, would set us apart, that we don't try to, we try to serve a good product, but at the end of the day, you can make it your own as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the greatest thing about coffee is you can have it however you like it. Where do you guys typically get your coffee beans from? Are you guys roasting in-house? Do you guys purchase from a supplier? Where do you guys get your actual product from?
I get it actually from the place where it started, where I had my first cup of craft coffee, which was Café Calabria. It's a local roaster here in North Park. It's been here for years, long before all the new spots came along. I would consider Cafe Calabria one of the OGs, at least in San Diego. I know we have a handful of stuff. And Cafe Calabria was the one that we utilized, and I fell in love with their coffee. I fell in love with their process. As far as espresso, it's one of my personal favorites. And they've always worked with me. They've always, even when I would just buy a pound of coffee, they would still honor that. So yeah, we built that relationship with them, and it would be amazing looking down the future if we could start roasting our own coffee as well. That's something that we haven't decided on yet, but we would definitely love to do, and just to have a little more control of the product that we're serving.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you also mentioned that you guys have been around for about, if I heard you right, 3 years at this particular location, which means that you guys have been at this particular spot before the pandemic and throughout the pandemic. What shift did you have to make in your business strategy during the pandemic?
Unfortunately for us during the pandemic, our location is so unique in the sense that it is built for takeout. So we would have been fine opening. Unfortunately, the lease that we have is through the city of San Diego, and they qualify it as a park. So there was a time when all the
Got it.
parks and beaches were closed. So unfortunately, we had to
Right.
close. It was quite the adjustment, just specifically because, it's like I said, to me, looking back, one of the better things to do during the pandemic was to be outdoors. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
one of the few areas that were closed. So we definitely struggled. We had our, tough situations, and we managed to get through with the support of the members, support of the local community, and we're still thriving here.
Absolutely. What did you guys do to change during that time? Did you guys try going with a secondary location? Did you guys, start going open up a stand somewhere else? Like, was there anything that you guys tried to do on that end of things to try and get around the fact that you were, essentially leasing a location through the city? The city is shut down, or the city has closed all the parks. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do. What were some of the steps you guys took on that end of things to try and get around those restrictions you guys were facing?
We were contemplating it. It was one of those things that, unfortunately for us, just we didn't have the resources to open up a new location, and then going like a little coffee cart route. That's also, it requires a lot. I would even say it's just as challenging as opening an actual location, just to getting all the permits through a little mobile spot. So the best thing we could do is just try to adjust. A lot of the employees, unfortunately, we did have to lay off during the time because we just didn't have the finances to pay them. I basically just kept myself on the payroll just in case. And even then, I wasn't receiving anything. We did manage to get a deal, I suppose, where we weren't paying the lease. So that was probably the biggest help, that we weren't, even though we weren't generating any money, there wasn't really any money going out aside from utilities, electricity, which was minimal, and internet, phone, insurance, just those things. But not having
Yeah.
to pay the lease was a lifesaver on our end for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that that worked out in terms of something that might have been a little bit different for most other businesses out there. They weren't able to survive through not having to pay a lease. That I'm glad that at least that aspect of it was was working out for you guys.
Yeah, but Tennis Club definitely came through for us, and we're appreciative of them because without their support, we would have shut down. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The other thing that's very unique about you guys as well is that you all don't currently leverage a website for your business. So you do most of your marketing through social media. What have you all learned, and how do you leverage social media for your business to be able to be as successful as you all have?
You know what? We just believe in word of mouth. When we first
Hmm.
started here, it's been a gradual increment in sales and business. When we first started here, we were just servicing the members here in the Balboa Tennis Club, and then as far as promotion, we really haven't done much promotion other than just being here, people walking by, and we see a lot of the community just going by and saying, "Oh, we heard you guys had great coffee, great smoothies, great sandwiches," so they'll stop by. As far as websites, I would definitely say that Instagram definitely helps. and Google. Google is the one that we definitely get a lot of traffic through Google as well. So it's all organic. We haven't resorted into paying for any type of promotion, and we've seen the growth. And the main reason for that is we wanted to be ready. I didn't want to promote a website and promote the business heavily, and then if we get increased business, not be ready for it. So it's been gradual, it's been, steady, and it's been organic for the most part. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. So clearly you guys leave a good impression on your clients and your customers when they come in. I mean, if you wouldn't have been around this long if people didn't like coming into your store, if they didn't like the way you all interacted with them. So when you have a new customer walk into your store, what is the impression that you would like for them to leave with, especially as a first time interaction?
We want them to number one, feel welcome, and then when they're leaving, make sure that they get a nice product that they enjoy. And like I said, it's not necessarily what we're doing. I feel like we're taking, a common product, we're serving a good quality of it, but just being in the location, just being in this park, I feel like we're a lot of people are already in a good mood just by being in, and we just want to add. We want to aggregate to that whole experience. If you're walking out with your family, you're taking out your dog, or you're just in the neighborhood exploring, we want to make sure we add and we don't subtract to any of the experience. And I feel like it's just like a great way, especially if we have a lot of people finishing up a nice morning run or a hike, or exploring the various parks here, or just taking out the kids. I feel like it's a great little location for you to come in and make it a destination in the sense that, let's go get a coffee, let's go get a smoothie, and then we can hang out there, or we can walk around the neighborhood. And I feel like that's what really sets us apart. And that's what a lot of the word of mouth comes from people being satisfied with the service, the quality, and then their surroundings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love to hear that, especially if you can leave that impact on the local community. It just goes that much further. Do you have any tips especially for some of the small business owners that might be listening to this podcast that don't have a physical storefront for their business? Do you have any tips for opening a physical storefront location?
I might do. I mean, obviously, I would number one say figure out what scale you want to do it. Do you want to do a mobile location? Do you want to do a full sit down location? Figure out what works best for the area that you're trying to get. Scout the area, see what's available around there. And obviously, to me, the best way to get a good location is just to walk around the neighborhood. There's be a lot of locations that are not going to be listed. So just
Yeah.
walk, explore the area, get to know the community, get to know, what could work there. Because, what's something that might work amazing for me might not work somewhere else. So I would say definitely get to know what would set you apart and how you can make that community better. I feel like that's everywhere we go, that would be the goal, just to add already to something that's positive there. So, and then be prepared for a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of dedication. I would definitely suggest writing a business plan. Write it as thorough as possible, and really write it one day, then the next day read it and rewrite it. Get it with a new, fresh set of eyes. Give it to someone you trust, like your family or your loved one, a friend. Read it, see if that makes sense, and try to work out the kinks at least on paper before you make the dive. Because once you start, it's a long process, but it is a rewarding process. Otherwise, I don't think many people will be doing it.
Yeah, for sure. If it's not a rewarding process, then what are you in it for in the first place anyway? You want it to have that extra meaning to it. Otherwise, what are you doing? My last question for you, since you mentioned that the experience of having a cup of coffee it's always a very unique experience. What is your go-to order when you are making yourself a cup of coffee?
Actually, it's not that complicated. I'll just get an Americano, either hot or iced. If I want to get really, really crazy, I'll have a cortado, a macchiato, cappuccino. But usually, I just like black coffee. So Americano or just a house coffee. A lot of times, wherever I go, my order would usually consist of a house coffee and something like a cortado or a macchiato or a cappuccino. Just to try, I get to experience both the espresso offering and I get to experience also the house coffee. So that's
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Try it, get a little bit of the flavor and the experience, but also see what's unique and different about that coffee shop. I love that. Guillermo, tell us where our listeners can find you. For anybody that is in the San Diego area, where exactly your coffee shop is, and if people want to get at you on social media, where can they find you?
at social media. It's at Route 6 Coffee on Instagram, also in Facebook. And then our physical location is in the Morley Field Sports Complex. So we are about 3 blocks away, 3 long blocks away from the San Diego Zoo. So the address is 2221 Morley Field Drive in San Diego, California. We're in the North Park neighborhood, right in nestled in the park, right by the tennis club, in the heart of the tennis club, next to the pool. And yeah, it's a great spot.
Absolutely. I love that. Guillermo, thank you so much for joining us here today. And best of luck to you and Route 6 Coffee.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you guys soon.
And that has been the Small Business Blueprint Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Small Business Blueprint. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow along on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. This podcast is brought to you by GoSite, an all-in-one platform that makes it easier for your customers to find, book, and pay for your services online instantly. Get started for free at GoSite.com.